What if I told you that there is a project that a lot of people are starting to talk about as it being the next ASTER? And I say that in the sense that not necessarily a perpetual DEX, but more in the sense of a huge upside opportunity project that is gaining a lot of momentum, that has a lot of future possibilities available to it. We're going to dive into that project called Plasma in today's video, talk about what is all of the recent hype about, what are people looking at this project for, what does this project do, and what is the potential upside, and how can you take advantage of it today. If you're new here, my name is Alex. We talk about crypto news, crypto passive income. If you enjoy content like that, consider subscribing. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like. Without further ado, let's jump into the video. So as we dive in this video, I want to go ahead and apologize ahead of time because it may get lengthy, but I want you to know everything that is possible and pertinent to the Plasma ticker symbol XPL project. We're going to talk about what it is. Secondly, talk about kind of what's been leading up to this moment. The main token launch happened today. There's a massive airdrop. What was kind of leading up to all of this? Talk about what is the potential for XPL. There's a ton of bullishness. People are comparing it to the next ASTER from a monumental, life-changing potential amount of money. And then last but definitely not least and most importantly, talk about how you can earn passive income, how you can generate thousands of dollars in revenue, potentially profit, from still getting involved in different aspects of the ecosystem. If you love stablecoins and stable yield, this video is for you. So with that said, let's jump into this because it's very, very important on a possibly one of the worst days in crypto. Maybe not the worst. I think the Terra Luna collapse was probably the worst, but this has been a very, very rough day for crypto. Overall, when you take a look at the total amounts of crypto wiped out from the entire market, over 170 billion. That is with a B, not million. It is billions. Absolutely terrible, terrible day for crypto. And one of the few performing cryptocurrencies that has absolutely exploded. In this, mind you, I charted this out just a couple of minutes ago. This is already superseding all of this. But I mean, this is up. If we're doing the chart here, in just the launch from just a couple of hours ago, we're talking about like 3 hours ago, up over 100% on the day. This is one of the reasons why people are talking about it as the next ASTER, not in the sense of it being a competitor as a perpetual DEX, but because it has strong fundamentals. It has a great quality team. It had an airdrop. It has changed a lot of people's lives financially for those who got involved early. And all of those kind of outside metrics is what makes people very bullish and why people are comparing it to the next ASTER. So what is Plasma? Why is there such high level of bullishness for it? Plasma is a layer 1 stablecoin centric blockchain. It is only for stablecoins. It does nothing else outside of provide infrastructure for stablecoins. And it has zero gas fees, or mostly zero gas fees. We'll talk about the more details on that further on in the video. But it is strictly for everything stablecoin related. So this is really kind of a first of its kind because you have other blockchains like AVAX, ETH, that are out there that have stablecoins on their blockchain, but they're more generic blockchains. They're generic layer 1s or layer 2s, depending on which chain you're looking at. But they're not set up directly to the benefit of stablecoins. For example, if I was to send USDC or USDT on ETH, there would be a gas fee associated with it. It would take a little bit longer because ETH is not designed specifically to work for stablecoins. So the importance of something like Plasma has gained a lot of traction. It has over 1,000 transactions per second, less than 1 second block times, and most importantly, $0 transfer fees. That is a huge thing for a lot of people. The backing behind the likes of Plasma is extremely impressive considering the fact that you have Bitfinex, you have the likes of Tether's CEO backing it. There's a huge top tier backers behind the likes of something like Plasma. And when you take a look at what it already comes with on day one, is you have EVM compatibility and you have a native Bitcoin bridge. So you have a lot of already pre-existing conditions to make this very, very successful from the start. So a lot of the future bullish things are already built in and pre-programmed. And on top of that, there's more things coming to Plasma One, including the credit card that they have, 4% cash back, 150 countries covered, a 10% yield. This really goes back to the whole idea of truly making stablecoins a standard form of transactions. And so when you consider the future goal and why the United States is very bullish on this, is stablecoins for the likes of USDC and USDT. They are backed typically one-to-one with the US dollar or an equivalent. So as stablecoins grow, the value and the need of US dollars grow. So that is why there's a huge push within the United States to grow the stablecoin product, because that only increases the overall usage of the US dollar. So when you consider something like this, when you have the opportunity for a credit card that has essentially the connection to your stables that you can spend just as a normal card. Now, I believe this is a credit card. Pay with Stables earns instantly, instant availability, earn up to 4% cash back, onboard in minutes. I am going to be interested. I don't know for sure if it is directly a credit card. My assumption is a credit card. It may be more of like a prepaid debit card. But in the end, there are some really, really amazing features with something like this. Essentially, you can have your stablecoins on the card and spend it as if it was like normal money. So it's probably more like a debit card rather than a credit card, but it has crazy cash back and yield, all backed by Plasma. So one of the reasons why there's a lot of bullishness is the bullishness of the stablecoin market and the ecosystem has been on its high all of 2025. You had this with the Circle IPO. This was a really, really impressive IPO by the likes of Circle. The stock went up dramatically, hitting a high of almost $300. It was almost like a 10x in the stock market within just a few days of the IPO. It was absolutely insane and incredible. And obviously the massive growth of ETH, because ETH is the primary, has a huge market share when it comes to stablecoins. That is why you've seen companies like Bitmine go out and buy up, right now sitting at like 2% of the entire Ethereum supply. They're trying to get to 5%. So there is all the bullishness leading up to this point with the likes of Plasma. Now, let's talk about the bullish thesis for a future for the likes of Plasma outside of the massive airdrop that just happened. So one of the things that a lot of people, this was starting, I believe, back in around June, is people, they had essentially like a raising period. They were completely blown out of the water because they raised so much money in a very, very short amount of time. It was very much oversubscribed. And those who were able to get in, even if you only got in with $1, you received about 10,000 XPL tokens, which right now is worth around $13,000 by simply contributing, even if it contributed only $1. So pretty much everyone who contributed, regardless of your size, at least got $13,000 at its current value. Absolutely insane. One of the things that has gained a lot of attention and why you're seeing a lot of this happening right now on X, everyone talking about it. So let's talk about some of the bullish thesis behind XPL. I think we're going to focus on this for a little bit and then talk about how you can get involved. In the earlier you do, the better. So this is the first liquid exposure to Tether's business. Tether was recently valued as a $500 billion, with a B, $500 billion company. Absolutely insane. Only liquid comparable business is Circle, who had an IPO this June this year at $6 billion market cap. Currently, Circle sits at around $28 billion. Yeah, $28 billion. And we'll take a look at that in comparison to the current valuation of XPL. Circle was slept on, like I said, went to 60 billion, sitting at 36. Story feels very similar to XPL. Timeline is split down the middle of what to do because of insiders. Insiders are in at 500 million and will sell their bags. XPL will find a bottom. USDT is bigger than USDC. Circle, when you look at this, Mispricing is obvious. CT is sleeping because mindshare is completely on ASTER. So there's a lot of the things that Crypto Rec here said, very, very true. A lot of people who got in on early on the pre-sale with the $500 million raised have done extremely well. The average, I think, return is around 25x or so. Very, very solid returns. There are going to be some people who obviously sell to take some profit off the table, but there are going to be people that hold. And this biggest comparison here is Circle is valued at 36 billion. USDT is valued at more than almost 15 times the value of Circle. And you look at XPL's current valuation of 7 billion. So if you think about the potential, even if it was a fraction of, even if it was the same valuation of Circle, it'd be incredible. Even if it was a fraction of the valuation of USDT, it would be even more so. So very, very bullish things for the likes of XPL. And like I said, this is one of the things that got a lot of people's attention. Why you're going to start seeing it on your timeline a lot more is everyone's talking about the fact that even if you deposited $10 into the pre-sale, you're getting at least 9,300 XPL tokens, which, like I said, right now is worth like $12,000, $13,000. From $10,000 to $12,000 is kind of insane. So a lot of people very, very excited about this. But let's talk about a few other things that have made some people very, very bullish on this. And I want to kind of showcase a video from Scott Bessent talking about the future of stablecoins, because I think this really paints a picture as to why so many people are bullish on XPL.
Stablecoin legislation backed by U.S. Treasuries or T-bills will create a market that will expand U.S. dollar usage via these stablecoins all around the world. And I think that 2 trillion is a very reasonable number, and I could see it greatly exceeding that.
So that's Scott Bessent talking about the valuation of the stablecoin market being $2 trillion. Now, if you think about potentially the layer 1 blockchain for a $2 trillion industry, you kind of have to understand and kind of think of what is the potential for a company, a crypto project likes of Plasma, to have a major share in a $2 trillion industry. It just shows that there's a ton of potential. There's a ton of upside in something like Plasma. That's why I'm personally very, very bullish on it. I think there is a lot of potential in the future. So this is talking about, according to Dune, most stablecoin transfers occur on general purpose like Layer 1 and Tornado, with monthly transfer volumes reaching $3 trillion. This figure includes payments, simple transfers, highlighting their role as main rails. So with Plasma, zero fee USD transfers is huge. I'll leave a link to this thread down below where it kind of goes in more detail of all the bullish narratives behind the likes of this. But I think it just goes to show all the potential opportunities and the future potential of the XPL token itself, because this does go a little bit in depth, talks about a lot of the things. But the biggest thing that I want to highlight is the ecosystem and growth is 40%. So 40% is allocated to ecosystem growth, serving as a core budget for long-term liquidity provision, DeFi incentives, and partnership support. So let's talk about what that means, because I think that is absolutely a huge part to where this goes. So as we kind of look into the mindshare right now, for really the last week has been on ASTER. Everyone's been talking about ASTER. And this is why you kind of have that comparison of this. The future for ASTER is very, very bright. And I don't want to say that, maybe I'm not saying to focus all your attention on XPL because it has more potential than the likes of ASTER. I think you can do both. And in fact, you can actually trade futures on ASTER. You can trade XPL futures, perpetuals on ASTER. So you can double dip, earn points towards your airdrop, and be bullish on XPL at the same time. But according to this, there's literally no money left to buy ASTER. CZ Asia ran dry. Scary side BSC community. So I think obviously you're going to have, when you have a project that's gained a huge market share, that's gaining a lot of attention, everyone's going to try to rotate into that. Come to find out, all the majority of the short-term profits have been made, and then they're going to rotate right back in. So I think there's going to be some of that happening especially at a time where the markets right now are absolutely terrible. So be mindful. This is one of the reasons why you're seeing this type of comparison. So let's take a look at Plasma and let's talk about what you can do right now. So the current fully diluted valuation is sitting at only 13.5 billion. I say only 13.5 billion. That is not a whole lot in comparison. When you look at the market cap of just 2.44 billion, there's a ton of potential. So let's talk about how you can earn and participate even post the airdrop. So there's ways, if you are huge into stablecoins, that getting in early on some of these platforms allows you to generate a ton of yield. So there's one called Liminal, yield beyond the hedge or edge, only possible on Hyperliquid X. So what does this do? So essentially you can provide tokens and be able to generate yield from the overall providing your tokens for borrowing. So for example, if you were to choose your strategy fully customized, you're free to customize it later on. Click an asset to add or remove from the strategy. And essentially assets at the TVL or user cap cannot be added. If you were to add XPL, you could generate around 111% APY. So insane APY. Like I said, this is very, very early on. The majority of it, when you look at, this is obviously on perpetuals. That is where all of it is right now. On perpetuals, 222%. So really, really impressive overall. So Liminal is one. I'll leave a link to it down below. The other one is directly through Plasma. So these are explore opportunities to compare rewards and earn tokens. These are daily rewards. This is absolutely insane. $1.63 million a day. Hold Plasma USD vault shares on mainnet or on Plasma. Very, very simple to do. You're looking at that APR being 52%. You can see some of these here, maybe a little bit less, but still plenty of opportunity if you want to jump into here. You're huge into DeFi yielding lend USDT 0 on Aave. Still tons of daily rewards, crazy APR. And mind you, this is a stable coin. So this is a crazy yield on stables as far as opportunities. You can see the TVLs here jumping like crazy. So the earlier, like I said, you get involved, the better. I'll leave links to these down below. But let me know your thoughts on Plasma. Are you bullish on the project? Where do you think this is headed in the future? If you enjoyed this video, smash up the like. You enjoy content like this, consider subscribing. And until next time, guys, stay invested.